and welcome back. I am Ivy McGowan Castleberry, the Public Information Coordinator for Campbell County. And today I am joined by Phil Christopherson. Phil, I don't think you've joined us here before.
I haven't. This is my first time. I'm grateful for the invitation. Glad to be here with you today.
Well, welcome. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about economic development, energy capital economic development. What do you do and how does that impact Campbell County?
Certainly. Well, economic development is an interesting topic. It's very difficult to explain. Everybody has a different definition. And so over the years, the Wyoming Economic Development Association, in cooperation and working with the Wyoming Business Council, has established a thing called the Economic Development Building Blocks to help everybody understand what economic development is. And we use those at Energy Capital Economic Development to help the community and the business leaders and the community leaders understand what it is we do, why we do it, and how we go about doing it. So I'll talk briefly about the economic development building blocks. At the base level is the foundation level, and that's community leadership. The will and the desire to have a better community, to have new jobs, new growth, new things coming into the community. It's important that a community have that desire and have the leadership in the form of political leadership, community leadership, business leadership, individuals in the community who are willing to step up and say, we want a better place to live. We want to live in a good community. With that in place, then you can do the other building blocks. The next one up is quality of life. When we're looking to recruit a business or help a business expand into the community, one of the first things they look at is actually workforce. They want to know if they have a workforce in the community and people they can hire, people they can employ, which is very important with our community, with the community college here. Gillette College is an incredible resource that provides great workforce training for the people that our companies want to employ. So that's one of the building blocks, workforce development. Quality of life is another one. Is this a community that you can raise a family in? Is this a place where people want to come and live? Are there activities for families, for children, for adults? And Gillette and Campbell County have those in abundance. We have great youth sports leagues. We have great high school and junior high school teams. We have a fantastic rec center. We have a camplex with cultural events. We have walking and riding trails and art in the community. This is a very great community. Also included in quality of life is retail development. Do we have good retail stores? Can you buy clothes here? Can you go out to dinner? We have very good quality of life here. Now, we don't focus a lot on bringing retail businesses to the community. We focus primarily on major industries that are called primary type industries. Those industries are manufacturers, mining, minerals, oil and gas drilling. That brings primary money into our community. They manufacture or make a product here and sell it someplace else, and that money comes back into our community. Retail is wonderful. It makes our community very livable, but that money rolls around within our community. We want money coming into our community from outside. So that's why we focus on those primary type industries.
I see.
Another important building block at a lower level is infrastructure development, having business parks and infrastructure in place so buildings can be built, so manufacturers can be supported. The top three building blocks are where we spend most of our time. Those are, first of all, working with existing businesses. We don't get a lot of press for that. It's not very well known, but most of our activities and the work that we do is working with existing businesses, helping them to grow and expand, developing the community that we need so they can grow and expand. One example is Atlas Carbon, just north of town. We spent over a year working very closely with them and with leaders in the state government to help get them a $15 million loan to add a second production line. That did get some front page news headlines, which was nice, but there was over a year's worth of effort into that, and it was a lot of work, but that's going to add jobs to our economy. It's going to help diversify our economy because Atlas Carbon takes a raw material, coal, and manufactures activated carbon with it, which is a new product for us. And so that's one of the things we do with existing businesses. We also work very closely with entrepreneurs. We want to help entrepreneurs grow and expand. The reason is because a person with an entrepreneurial mindset is a very special person. They're willing to be pushed down and shoved down and rejected again and again and again, and they just don't quit. And so we want to be in the position to help those people grow and expand a business. A great example of that would be Leon Wandler with L&H Industrial. You know, 50-some years ago, he decided that he wanted to do something, wanted to be in business for himself, and went out and started and created L&H Industrial. L&H Welding at the time, and then I think at one time it was L&H Machinery. Now it's L&H Industrial. And today it is an international business.
It certainly is considered a gold star here in Campbell County.
It is. Another example is Cyclone Drilling. The more of those entrepreneurs who we can help develop their business, maybe in 10 or 15 or 50 years, we'll have more international businesses headquartered in Gillette. I frequently ask people, do you know why the Boeing company is in Seattle, Washington? People really don't know. Well, the reason is because back in 1903 or 1907, a guy named Bill Boeing liked airplanes. He lived in Washington, in Seattle, Washington, and he started building them in his garage. And so over 100 years later, the Boeing company is in Seattle, Washington. Well, if we can help those people who are here grow and develop their business, then over time they can develop into a significant business. So we work very closely with entrepreneurs. The Small Business Development Center here, Susan Yerke, she's great working with small businesses, and her office is co-located with us, but we want to encourage those people, which is why we're developing a business incubator. We call it.
What is a business incubator?
A business incubator is a place for entrepreneurs to go to receive the help and assistance they need to get their business going. Typically, when a person comes with a business idea, they know a lot about that business idea. It's a welding shop, or they're manufacturing a product or a widget, or they have an idea for developing a software game or something. They know about that, but the things they don't know about are the accounting, or the financing, or the human resources, or how to manage a business, or how to go out and do marketing. And so that's what an incubator does. It helps build an advisory board to give them the knowledge and advice that they need so their business is more likely to succeed.
Excellent. And so economic development, or energy capital economic development, is working on creating a business incubator. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're calling it our Enterprise Center. We have the building. We were able to purchase the building just about a year ago using a Wyoming Business Council Business Ready Community Grant for $1.5 million. So we have the building. We have a couple of tenants in there who are very eager for this facility to get up and operating. The one thing we're lacking is a director. We need somebody to come in there and run the program, establish the programs, and serve as the executive director or the director of that facility. And so we are looking for that right now. We do not have the resources to hire somebody, so we've been looking for a volunteer. We haven't found a volunteer yet. Should the 0.25% pass, we perhaps will be able to hire somebody for that.
Okay, so there you go, Campbell County. If you have some excellent business background and you're looking for an opportunity to volunteer, contact Energy Capital Economic Development and see if you can lend your services in their business incubator.
Yep. So that's entrepreneur development, working with existing businesses. Now, the thing that most people think of when they think of economic development is recruiting businesses to the area. And we do that, though it's the smallest part of what we do. But it's the most visible. Because when a new business is recruited to the area and they come, it gets front page headlines and everybody knows about it and everybody's excited about it. But it's the smallest part of what we do. And actually all of our recruiting efforts are in cooperation with Town of Buffalo and City of Sheridan through an organization called the New Growth Alliance. As a community, as large as we are, we're still not big enough to attract some of the major businesses. They think we're just too small, that we don't have the workforce, and so they don't even really consider us when it comes time to move. But in working with Buffalo, Sheridan, and really the whole northeast corner of Wyoming, we have about 100,000 people here. When they look at that, they say, oh, you've got a significant workforce there. And you and I both know that there are people who drive from Sheridan and Buffalo and Hewlett and everywhere else to come to work in the mines and other businesses in Gillette, and vice versa. There are people who live here that drive to those communities. When I lived in Seattle, I lived about 10 miles from work, and it was about, on a good day, 45-minute commute. On a bad day, it could be an hour and a half or even longer. And so really, a drive to Buffalo is just under an hour. That's not that bad of a commute, and it's a nice drive.
The scenery beats the scenery you have out in Seattle on those commutes.
Yeah, the Seattle is beautiful, it's green, but when you're on the freeway, all you see is red lights, tail lights ahead of you, and bright headlights behind you, and that's not too nice.
So that's another avenue that you're trying to generate some economic development here, is by partnering with our neighbors to the north. What are some other activities that you have going on?
Well, one of the significant things that we really want to focus on is diversifying our local economy. That has been the battle cry for a long time statewide. I know it is important because the state's economy and our local economy is very dependent upon the oil and gas and mining industries. Now, those are fantastic industries, and we're very grateful that they're here and grateful for the tax revenues they bring, the jobs that they provide. They're great individuals that run those companies. We're grateful that they're here. But as recently shown, when there's a downturn, it can hurt, and people lose jobs, and it's just tough. If we had a more diverse economy, so we weren't so overly dependent upon mining and minerals, then there would be more jobs. Then when there was a downturn in one industry, then other industries might be up. A good example of that is Atlas Carbon. This latest downturn didn't affect them at all because they don't sell into the minerals industry. And so when everything else was down, they were still doing just fine. So what we're working to do is we want to get as much bang for our buck as possible. So we've been working with the University of Wyoming School of Energy Resources to develop an institution called the Advanced Carbon Products Innovation Center. We call it the ICEPIC. And what the ICEPIC is a place to help businesses that have developed lab-level research to do things with coal. Everything you can do with oil, you can do with coal. There are some things you can do with coal that are unique, and coal is ideally suited for. Some of those are carbon nanotubes, carbon fiber, graphene, char for agricultural use. You can actually make asphalt out of coal. The problem is that nobody's ever really done that. Because several thousand years ago, when they first dug coal out of the ground, they said, wow, look, this stuff burns. Let's use it to heat our cave.
Sure. So what you're saying is that we have the opportunity, perhaps, to use a resource that we have here in abundance for more than just heating and generating electricity. We would be able to create products out of it.
Exactly. And that's Atlas Carbon, again, is a good example of that. They're manufacturing activated carbon, which if you have a Brita water filter at home, that's what filters the water. A lot of municipalities use activated carbon to filter their water, so it's good, clean water. It's a very good product, but has nothing to do with the minerals market, but it's manufactured using coal. So if we can encourage more of that development, maybe in 15 or 20 years from now, we'll have a bunch of manufacturers around manufacturing carbon fiber, activated carbon, char, asphalt, a whole bunch of different things. There are thousands of products you can manufacture from coal. But most of that research is still sitting on the lab bench. It has never really been taken to commercialization. Well, the next step from the lab to commercialization is to develop a pilot plant, a place where you can test out larger scale manufacturing. So you can prove that this product that we're making from coal is commercially viable. The next step after that is a commercial production plant. Well, our ICEPIC, our Advanced Carbon Products Innovation Center, is designed to host pilot plants. So they can take that lab level research and take it to the next step and prove that their product is commercially viable. Of course, some will prove not to be commercially viable, so that's where it'll end. But some of those will prove to be commercially viable. And the next step after that then is a commercial plant, which we will encourage them to locate somewhere here in the PRB so that we can add jobs, diversifying our economy, keeping our economy strong. My hope and goal is that 40 years from now, we're still mining 300 million tons of thermal coal a year. That'll be good. That means we've been pretty stable and pretty level. It'd be nice if it was more, but that's not up to us. But if at the same time we've helped those advanced carbon products industries grow and thrive, and we're shipping 300 million tons of coal to those to develop advanced carbon products, we're now shipping 300 million tons of coal a year out of the PRB, and that is great. That would be more coal than we've ever shipped for the thermal market. And if the thermal market happens to have gone away, well, then we're still at 300 million tons for the advanced carbon products market. So that's what we're working to achieve. That's one of our key projects right now.
Well, it sounds like a very exciting opportunity for Campbell County. And if you go back to the building blocks that you were talking about earlier, we can see why, if we're bringing in those pilot programs, why it's important for us to have the other building blocks in place in order to attract them to stay once they do come up with a viable product.
That's exactly right. With a good community, with a high quality of life, those companies will want to stay here and grow and develop here. With the infrastructure in place for them to locate and go quickly, business likes to move quickly. They don't like to wait a year and a half for permitting and infrastructure and streets and sewer to be installed. They want to move quickly. So with the infrastructure developed and in place, they'll be able to get their plants going and operating and help our economy thrive and grow and stay strong.
Excellent. You know, and you mentioned that some of your projects end up on the front page of the newspaper, which is great because then people get to see the activities that Energy Capital Economic Development is engaged in. But we don't hear a lot about you sometimes. Why might that be?
Well, most of our projects, we're actually working with several businesses right now in this advanced carbon products. We have non-disclosure agreements in place with them. They don't want us to talk about them. They're concerned about competitive pressures. They don't want to put what they're doing out there in the newspaper or in the public eye and then have somebody else steal their idea. So they're very careful and very protective, and we have to honor that. And so a lot of the things we do are, they're not hush-hush, they're just confidential. When they come to fruition, then we tell people about them and they get in the newspaper. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't really happen. We'll work on 5 or 6 projects to get one successful one off the ground and going. Plus, I'm not a marketing person. When the board hired me to come in and run the organization, I told them that my background is engineering, and I just work. I go in and attack a project and a problem and try to solve it, and I don't spend a lot of time being a cheerleader. We do need to do that. We need to be better at doing that just to keep the public informed about what we do.
You do have a very active board who encourages you a lot, though. So even though you may not necessarily be a marketer, they're out there bragging up the efforts, and you have a phenomenal staff as well that really helps you a lot.
We do. We have a fantastic staff. We have Mary Miller-Onyo, who is our director. Let me get this right. Mary Miller-Onyo, who's our director of business retention and expansion. And she works with the local businesses, and that's her entire job, is to work with local businesses to find out what their needs are, what we can do to better assist them to help them grow. And so she's out in the community meeting with local businesses all the time. Because existing business is the most important thing here. We need to take care of our own and help them to be happy. Then we just hired a new person, Donnie Roper, and she is our administrative manager. Our office manager. Donnie Roper's our office manager, doing a great job. She also has great skills for editing and writing. She's really helped around our organization. She works part-time, and we're glad to have her.
Excellent. So, Mr. Christopherson, if you have, since we'll go back to your building blocks here for just a minute. One of the things that you mentioned that economic development really focuses on is on entrepreneurial development.
Yes.
So if somebody has an idea that they want to talk to you about, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, probably the best way is go to our website. All of our contact information is there. That website is www.energycapitaled.com. www.energycapitaled.com. Yep, that's our website. And you'll find all of our contact information there. Give us a call. We'll be happy to chat with you. Depending on what level you're at, we may hand you off to the Small Business Development Center. Susan Yerke, she does a great job. If you just have a concept, an idea of something you want to float around, we might bring in a couple of people and chat with you about it and help you round out your idea and kind of put some focus to it. If you're already up and running and it's like struggling and I need some help, come in and see us. There's a number of things we can do to help with that as well. So we want to see those small businesses succeed. We want them to grow into bigger businesses.
Absolutely. Well, Phil, do you have anything else you would like to share with us today?
I would like to point everybody to our website, www.energycapitaled.com. That is where you can find information on our current project and activities. If you go to our website, you'll see a bunch of tabs across the top. If you hold your mouse over About Us, a drop-down menu will come there. There'll be the first block down will be information about the quarter cent sales tax that's on the ballot right now. You can find information about what we would do with those funds. The next tab down talks about our projects and activities and gives you some detailed information about our current projects and activities, some of our ongoing efforts, and then some of the ones that we've accomplished in the past. So,
excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you'll come back and maybe give us an update on some projects that you have going on that you can share with us.
I'll be happy to do that. Thank you,
Excellent.
Ivy.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.